Hey,
Hi,
it's Tash and Carly,
and you're listening to Motherhood,
not as we planned.
So get comfy, grab a cup of tea,
Or a glass of wine, and let's start talking about all the things too many of us avoid discussing.
Hi guys, and welcome back to this week's episode.
Let's have a ketchup. Let's have a ketchup. Ketchup. So I actually had quite a informative and interesting update in my life that I wanted to share. I'm sure people are going to really resonate with it and maybe give people a bit of hope. I shared on my stories, I know this is obviously going to come out in a few weeks, but I shared on my stories last week that I've been really struggling with, in particular, Blake's behaviour. And he's always been the more challenging of my three. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned on the podcast that I started play therapy with him. So I just feel like he definitely really struggles with his emotions and his sleep isn't good. And I just feel like he needs that extra support trying to find ways of expressing his emotions. Anyway, I had a review with his play therapist, who's a psychotherapist. And also, before I even had the review with her, I've started thinking about his behaviour and researching a bit more, and he's not been good at school either. And I was looking into potentially getting him assessed for ADHD, autism. And I had the review with his therapist, and she can't diagnose because she's not qualified to, but obviously she's very switched on and deals with a lot of different children, and she pretty much said to me she is almost certain that he's got ADHD, maybe slightly autistic, and you know what, it's just although I don't have a diagnosis yet, it's this weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah.
That I haven't gone and damaged my child from the divorce, or I haven't done something that's kind of made him behave the way he is. Don't get me wrong, I'm still very aware that just having a label or having a reason for it doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. But for me, with these sort of things, I feel like knowledge is power. And now the more I can understand about how to parent a child with ADHD, I feel like I'm going to gain more patience, gain more kind of respect for things that he's doing, rather than it being viewed as well, he's just yelling. It's actually he's really struggling. He's not naughty. I hate the word naughty. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do use it. Why does he have to be so naughty? It's so frustrating. It's fucking hard dealing with, and this is what I was explaining in my stories, dealing with trying to regulate your children's emotions when you're not even particularly great at doing it yourself with your own, and you're going through stuff and you feel like you can't be completely present with them. And then I'm really sleep deprived because he doesn't sleep well, and it's all on you. And I don't have that person. Even when I was married, he wasn't particularly present in the day or bedtime or whatever. It's still having that person that you can get into bed with at the end of the day and offload to or unwind with, or someone that actually appreciates what's going on with your child. And I had some people being but you've got your friends, or I'm always here for you. It's not the same. I love my friends to pieces. It is not the same, and it is not comparable. When I have my married friends say things to me but I get in bed on my own, but you're not on your own. You have someone else that is helping and working with you. Anyway,
Yeah.
I then had a meeting with the school, and it turns out that they were also thinking the same thing, but they aren't allowed to tell you. They've almost got to drip feed you information with the hope that you're going to go and seek some guidance to then get a diagnosis. So the school are unbelievable with the support that they're going to help him with. And there's two routes. You can either go down NHS, which at the moment there is a waiting list of 30 months, or privately, which is very expensive. You're looking at, if you want to get assessed for ADHD and autism, it's around the £3,000 mark. So what's amazing is the school are actually they don't care about a label, they don't care about a diagnosis. If we are both on the same page that we believe that he is struggling and has ADHD, they're treating it that way. Meaning I can go down the NHS route,
the wait list, but
and just be on the wait list. He's going to get the support, and I just need that diagnosis by the time he goes to secondary school, which I'll get. And I don't need a label. I don't need to spend $3,000 to be like, yep, knew it, he's got ADHD. I think I know in my heart, like, even if they turn around and said that we're not giving him that label, I can see all the traits that he's got that he's struggling with so much. And I don't know, I feel like I know that I'm still going to have those struggles and still going to lose my patience. I'm still going to find my weekends really difficult with them. But now I just feel like I'm going to come in at a slightly different angle. And I feel like I'm the sort of person that once I know that I can gain more of a perspective and find out more information about something to help me and him, I know I'll do that research. Like, rather than, you know, I used to get really annoyed when he just couldn't sit at the table when he's eating. I told you, just sit at the table. Like, if you have food in front of you, sit down. Because then your brother copies you. But now it's more actually, I can see that you're really struggling. Do we need to do some star jumps? Let's do them together.
Well, there's loads of things you get. So I grew up with, my younger sister was diagnosed with ADHD from about 5, which back in those days was very so like, I've grown up with a sister, and when I say ADHD, I mean severe ADHD, and she was mistaken and known as the naughty child in school, and she's always had behaviour problems. She was born at 24 weeks, so they think it may have been like developmental factors, and she was very, very dyslexic, and she had lots of struggles at school, and I've seen it like firsthand. Like, I've grown up with a sibling who has severe ADHD, and I've seen the challenges it's brought to her in her life. But there's so much, like, I feel like the world we live in now, it's all about making everything accessible for children with additional needs. I think there's so much more awareness of it. Things like sitting down, I don't know if you've seen the wobble cushion. He's got one of those great, the fidget.
Yeah, he's got a wobble cushion at school. But I think it's more for me now, really understanding, like, he's not doing it to wind me up. He's not doing it, and I just feel like it's going to change me as a mum and how I respond to him and help him. And I think I've carried a lot of guilt the last few years.
Separation and stuff. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, nature, nurture. Like, I'm sure that situation hasn't helped him being a very emotional child. But I think I feel like there's just so much pressure these days of like, I put this pressure on myself, worrying that like what I do on a daily basis with my children is shaping their adult life.
Yeah.
And I don't think that wasn't a thing when we were children.
We weren't aware of,
like, so unaware of like mental health and like what trauma can be like taken from a situation.
Therapy and stuff are spoken a lot more openly about nowadays, and people actually do a lot of the work and figure out like a lot of their trauma is underlying from childhood, but it's not something we were ever aware of.
Yeah.
Things like that.
But now I just feel like I said, knowledge is power. I'm going to just do a lot of research. I want to find some podcasts. I want to read some books and really sort of learn and understand how my child's brain works. And with that, I'm hoping that maybe things will start getting a bit easier, because it's been really difficult. Being a mum is difficult. Being a single mum is fucking difficult. But then when you add in additional needs, it's fucking hard. It's all hard. And I don't know, I just feel like maybe there's a bit of light now for me at the end of the tunnel, and it's just giving me that boost to kind of like really educate myself to help him even more. So that's been the main focus of my week.
We've had a bit of a downhill stint of behaviour, both like kids. I don't know if it's like, Milo's 2.5 now, and his language blows my mind. Like, Theo was a very delayed speaker. He didn't really start speaking properly till after he was 3. And Milo's been confidently speaking for months now. And I think that confuses me sometimes. I think when someone's got the language skills, you think they understand everything, but they don't. So I think he can say a lot, but I don't think he's got like that maturity. And they just wind each other up. Like, don't get me wrong, people stop me, particularly at like the school gates and like when they see my kids out and about, because they're the most affectionate kids. Like, they will want to hold each other's hands. Like every morning when we drop Theo after school, Milo has to give him a cuddle, a kiss on the lips and a high five, and then he goes back in for another kiss. And all the other parents are like, oh my God, they're so sweet. And like, they are, I swear to you, they are not always like this. And I think that's what I find really hard, is 1 minute they can be so lovely and like obsessed with each other. I told one of them off the other day. I can't remember what they did. They were doing something dangerous. I was like, right, you need to go and sit on the stairs now. This is unsafe. You need to go and sit on the stairs. And the other one, I think it was Milo, goes, that's my brother. And like goes, me not like you. And like ran off. And then they were just like sat cuddling, looking at it. And I thought, well, it's really nice that you've got each other's backs back.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the last week or so, their behaviour's been going downhill. It's very physical. I don't know anyone who's got two boys.
No, but
similar in age.
I have my 3 are very physical with each other, and it's so hard because
so one thing that triggers me is one thing that I shout at. I'm very good at navigating a lot of situations. I like one thing I pride myself on as a parent. I'm not saying I get it right all the time. Not that I'm amazing at regulating my feelings, but I feel like I do a really good job of being relatively gentle parenting when it comes to things like emotions and things. It's something I've worked on really hard over the last couple of years, and particularly try to be more careful around it following like the separation and stuff. Like I've never wanted to deflect my own anger and stress. So I've almost been like extra conscious, like really trying to validate their feelings. But the one thing that I find I just can't control is when they're physically fighting and they're getting really physical. That triggers me. And I get really, really angry, and I'm not, and it's when those days that it feels constant, like the minute they wake up, they just can't get on, like, and it gets physical. Like Theo had a massive scratch across his face the other day. Then Milo ends up with a bite mark in his back, and they're not bad kids. And I find that really frustrating because I know how loving and affectionate they can be. So I've like tried to sit down with Theo in the evenings, and I've been like, is something bothering you? Like, talk to me. Like, we don't use our teeth to do things like that. Or, you know, when he's getting physical with his hands, like, instead of punching him, why don't you come and put those arms around me and we'll have a cuddle instead? And anyway,
sometimes I say to especially Blake, like, if you're feeling frustrated, that's fine, but here's a pillow.
Yeah, 100%.
But unfortunately, like, yeah, my kids wind each other up, they hit, they punch, they bite, and then like Rome's at that age where he's copying
mine, and
it's a point where I'm like, guys, calm down, can you stop it? And they don't.
I also feel like they're both like, Theo's coming home from school saying things that he does not hear at home, or certainly not in my home, and like phrase he comes out with, I'm like, where have you picked that up from? And I know it's from school, and like I spoke to his teacher and she was saying, oh, we've had like a few of these words coming out, we're really trying to stop them. And I'm really big on that. But Milo, oh my God, his memory is something else. Like, but I have to remind myself, he's like 2. Like, he came out the other day and he was like, I won't say the kid's name, but he goes, at nursery, told me to shut that up at nursery. But now he keeps repeating it. And this has been like a month. And I'm mortified. I'm like, because we don't use that kind of language. And I'm like, and he keeps telling me, Mummy, nursery said, and I'm like, and I don't want to draw loads of attention to it and make it a big thing, but at the same time, I do want them to know, like, we don't use that language in our house. So anyway, I got to the point where I felt like the last week I have become a shouty mum, and I hate being her, because then I end up in this horrible vicious cycle where I go to bed crying, feeling like I'm a shit mum, and I've let myself down. Like the other day, I was on the phone to my boyfriend, literally like in tears. Like I've let them down, I've let me down. He's so good with it. I think that's another thing I really like about him being a parent. Like, he gets it, and I don't feel judged in any way. Like,
yeah, I can really appreciate that, because I think when you're maybe with someone that doesn't have kids
and not been through it,
not even not being through it, because I feel like my dad is quite like this as well. I think it's quite hard for someone that has that mindset of like, that child is just naughty. Why are you looking for an excuse or a reason for it? Like, they're just naughty, or they did that on purpose. And like, I need to be with someone, especially now understanding Blake more, that really understands that like, it's how his brain works. He's not being manipulative. He's a 6-year-old child. And yeah, so I can really appreciate for having that common ground with another parent.
Do you know what's nice? Like, he said to me something like, why don't you try this? And it's quite nice, like, having someone, like, he's got 3 kids. It's nice having someone, and they're older, most of them. But it's nice having someone who's like been through it, understands it, and you don't feel like you're failing. Actually, you feel very normal. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just felt really like I had like a bit of backup, or like it was okay to feel that way. So this week I've reintroduced, I did it a few months ago, and then you know what it's like, you just fall off it. But I've reintroduced their star charts, and we sat down together and we came up with the things they could get stars for. And Theo came up with one, like, every time I try a new food, and he's a really fussy eater. So I was like, that's a really good idea, Theo, let's do that one. But like things like helping mummy, things like being kind to my brother are on there. Things like, another one, like for single mums, like I really get my kids involved in the chores now. So like cleaning up after breakfast. Otherwise, I end up not resenting them, but I get myself in this place where I feel like there's so much to do. And actually, my kids love helping me. So every morning now, they get a star for taking their bowls over to the sink, putting their rubbish in the bin, putting that, like,
So you might just take
they get all their food out in the mornings. They help make breakfast. Same with like clearing up every day. Like, Theo helped me hang the washing up the other day. I want them to see the workload that goes into running and maintaining a house. I don't want them to think it just magically happens. I don't want to have to do those things every night when they're in bed. I think it's really important for children to see what it's like to maintain a home. And even more so when you're a single parent, like how much you were juggling. Like, and it's very much, I'm honing in on the fact, like, we are a team. We are all in this together. And that, like, we call each other the 3 Musketeers, because we have to all work together. Like, if I'm asking for help and I'm just doing it, and then Theo goes, wait, 3 Musketeers, we need to help, and we do. And that's, yeah, so I'll update you guys as to whether
my marble jar's back out. So I get, it's a similar sort of thing. And you just, every time they do something, it's all about like continuously praising, reinforcing the praise. Like, if they're naughty, they don't lose a marble, they never lose, they only ever get. So even things like, just like, for example, the other day, Rome hit Blake. Blake didn't hit back, so I gave him a marble. I was like, do you know what? Well done for not hitting back, because I'm really trying to show them that that if someone hurts you, go and tell someone.
People make mistakes. Yeah, I agree. This is what we're doing as well. That Theo's exactly the same. If Milo does something, he'll do something bad. One thing I find about the star charts is, yes, obviously it's great for the kids, but I also feel like it makes me more conscious to focus on all the positive things. Like, I feel like I'm giving them so much more positive reinforcement. So it's actively making me feel like a better parent, because I'm actually, rather than focusing on the negative things, you're focusing on the positive. And that's what they're, and honestly, like the difference in their behaviour between, I only started sitting yesterday. I had the best day with them yesterday. Like, and they've come down this morning going, Mummy, can I help do this? Like, it gives them a focus and it helps me be a best parent. So yeah, that's that. That was quite a big update, wasn't it? Let's look into an email.
Let's go into an email. As always, thank you guys for sending them in. We've got here a writing update. Should we start with that?
Love an update.
Okay, let's do this. So, just listening to the podcast as I do every week now, thought I would send a little update as you've asked for one. I really enjoy Thursdays, knowing there's a new episode out each week. I emailed in about my cheating husband having an affair with
another one,
his employee.
Yes.
And wanted to send an update. I followed your advice and I didn't act on it and report him to his work. I remember this one, and we were worried that she wouldn't hear it in time.
Yes, we were.
Because I knew I had too much to lose with my home and stability for our little one. However, someone else did report it. I have no idea who, but I did feel a sense of relief that somebody had, and it was no longer a threat that he could hold over me. Oh, everything happens for a reason.
Isn't it?
It was investigated and he got away with it anyway. He said no action was taken and they're now happily outed at work and able to continue their relationship publicly. It makes me wonder if all those work policies that he threatened me with were ever actually real. He seemed to think that I would have been considering how he was feeling during the investigation, and I think I surprised him when I told him I couldn't have cared less about how he felt after everything he had put me through. What? The arrogance of this man is crazy. He actually said, "Don't get me wrong, I know I partly deserved it." I couldn't believe what I was reading from him. All of this was his doing.
So these men are delulu.
I know. I even found out that his girlfriend with low morals and respect had had 4 weeks off with work because of stress.
So stressful knowing that your new partner's got a wife at home.
I haven't been able to take any time off, which I've desperately needed because he's cut the bills down significantly. It's so frustrating. Anyway, he is now living his best life with his soulmate and they are busy playing happy families. He introduced our child to her the day before Mother's Day. He didn't tell me he had, and I had to hear it from our child in the car, and it honestly broke me and took me so by surprise.
Oh my God, these men!
I will never understand why, after everything he has done, he goes out of his way to either be purposely cruel and calculated with his timings, or that he's so selfish that he even thinks about how hurtful this is.
No, do you know what? I also think it's like an element of his way of still getting to you. Mm-hmm. That's genuinely what I think it is.
So do I.
A tiny bit of hold they have. And it's like, how can I make sure, like, I can hurt her a little bit more? How can I have control? Like, so she can't quite let me go. Let me just try and make sure she knows I've still got the power.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
He even collected our child from my family home with her in the car last week. The man stood in front of me sickens me. Even the way my child is now fully involved with his girlfriend and her child just 8 weeks after leaving.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow. I just think that, like, I'm going to say it, like, I just find that really selfish.
Yeah,
like,
it just speaks volumes about the type of dad.
About yourself, like, surely in the whole thing, you should be putting the kids first. What is in their best interest? That is not in your best interest. I'm sorry, it's not.
They are planning holidays together and living their best lives. I'm trying so hard to not let his new happiness impact me. Some days I'm really low and have some horrendous thoughts. This is mainly when he has my child. Other days I love my new feeling that we have in our home. There's no resentment for running around, burning myself out whilst he does nothing to help, or at least the bare minimum. I no longer have to get upset by his lack of effort, wanting to take part in our family life. However, it does get to me when I hear that he's doing all the family things with her that he absolutely never would have done with me because his hobbies were more important. I love the quality time that I have with my child, although I feel like there is a constant countdown until they have to return to him. His family have distanced themselves from me, which was a real shock, and I'm really struggling with this. They were family to me too. I knew them for 10 years and I loved them. In the beginning, they said they didn't want anything to change and I would always be like a daughter to them, and I believed them. I haven't heard from them in months now. I don't really feel like I can contact them because I don't know what lies he might be telling them. That's the thing. Like, you don't know what stories that he's conjured up to make himself look better. I also think, unfortunately, I think it's quite common when the in-laws or ex-in-laws kind of like distance themselves. And sometimes, I'm not joking, sometimes I think it's actually like out of humiliation.
100%. Oh my God.
Like, I really, really do. Like, embarrassment.
It is. And as well, I agree. It is it's what they're being told. I guarantee they're being told very different stuff.
Yeah. I also feel like they chose to distance themselves so they don't deserve a seat at my table, but it doesn't take away the hurt. Thanks to this incredibly selfish man, I've lost my husband, my identity, my confidence, my security, his family who I loved and made so much effort with, and my ability to trust anybody again. I now have to stand by and pretend to have dignity as he wrongly puts his new relationship on our child and wait to see if it works out or damages our child, and it makes me so sad. This woman was a stepmom to her ex's children for over 5 years. She's walked out on the stepchild and seen them twice since. It saddens me that she may do the same to our child, who doesn't deserve any of this. It's like my husband and his girlfriend have no consideration for anybody else, and they've completely rewritten history, and they've actually believed that they've done nothing wrong. I've never felt the sadness like it. I pretend to hold it together. I show up for myself, but it doesn't take away the pain from the trauma he has caused. It's only been 16 weeks since he announced he was leaving, but there was nobody else until I discovered the affair. I can't keep up with how much has happened. He moved out 8 weeks ago, but still hasn't removed his belongings. He treats me like I don't deserve to have any feelings and makes me feel powerless when it comes to co-parenting and our home. I'm becoming numb to his selfishness and efforts to hurt me, but I struggle daily not knowing why he has done this and is choosing this when I didn't deserve it. I loved him and I would have stayed loyal to him, but this is what you get for putting him first all the time. I know he isn't worthy of my love. A very long update. Feel free to cut it down. And thank you so much for your podcast. It really has made an enormous difference to me. I can really resonate with everything you're saying, and it just breaks my heart that you're still in such a bad place. But it's such early days, and I feel like you need to be really kind to yourself and realise like you've gone through a lot. Like this guy has literally completely walked all over you. He's shown no respect, and I just feel like, I know it's so easy to say and very hard to do, but it's reminding yourself of like, you know, even you saying things like it's really hard seeing him do all these family things with someone else that he wasn't willing to do with you. Like that person that he was with you, that's him. He hasn't changed. You know, he's in the honeymoon phase. Like,
yeah.
I also feel like, look, it's so difficult when the person you love ends up doing everything that you wanted them to do with you with someone else. There's no easy way about getting over that. But I think that with time, and annoyingly, like time, it is annoying. Like I'm like, I just want to click my fingers and be at this point and feel this way. But I feel like you just need to kind of eventually accept the circumstances and maybe go and seek some therapy, do something for you to make yourself feel better.
What I said a few weeks ago is everything you're feeling now is completely valid, but I feel like a lot of your focus is on everything like he's doing and this and that. And I think one thing you've got to understand is you can't change someone. You can't change what they do, how they behave, what they're doing in terms of like, essentially he's got parental responsibility. So if he deems it fit for him, your child, to be around the other lady, then that's lady. I don't know why I said lady. Then that's appropriate in those terms. And I think for your mental sake, rather than focusing all the things he's doing that are like making you upset or hurting you, is to focus on you and put that energy into the things you can control. I think it's so hard. Like, and I've been in your shoes. Like, I've been in your situation where I've been so like obsessed about all the things that are beyond my control, about someone else's actions, someone else's choices. Nothing you do, no amount of worrying over that, no amount of obsessing over it and thinking if he just did this, is going to change it. And I'm sorry if that sounds really, really blunt. So you have to focus on pouring into you, doing things that make you feel good, looking after yourself, getting yourself back. Like, I think you said something and it made me feel really sad, like that you feel like you've turned into this person who's like completely lost themselves. And go and find yourself now. Like, in that time your child is away, and you said like you struggled when your child is away from you, use that time to go and find yourself, feel your
even if it's like making sure that you see friends, that, you know, people, surround yourself with people that lift you up. Go and seek some therapy. Go and see a psychic. Go and get a massage, get some treatment.
Yeah,
go like, get your nails done. Like, make the most of you.
You know what I started to do? Like, I hit a point where I just wanted to feel comfortable in my own company. I took myself out on dates, like on my own. Like, I'd go out for a full day shopping. I'd take myself out for lunch. I'd get a table for one. That used to have terrified me, and I would have done it. You've never done it? Do it. It's your challenge.
I've shopped on my own.
No, go and sit down. I went full on Wagamama's, table for one.
Yeah.
I've done it several times now. Does not bother me. Literally does not bother me. And I sit there, and the first time I remember remember thinking, like, everyone's staring at me thinking, what a loser.
Yeah, but
you know what? No one cares.
Well, no, do you remember when I went to that Jay Shetty thing on my own? That was like quite a big thing for me. Like, went into London and went to a show on my own. I think that's why we really like we've seen all the tickets that we are selling for our event. Most of the tickets are solo tickets.
Yeah,
and I love that because I know people have messaged us being like, it's really out of our comfort zone, like, but I really want to come. Like, it's doing something like that will boost your confidence and, yeah, I'm sad, really sad to hear how much you're struggling, but also be kind to yourself that it's still such early days and your life has turned upside down, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to flip back even better.
Thanks.
So, yeah, thank you for sending in your update. I appreciate it.
Okay, my ex gave me my best friend. Hi, Tash and Carly. Firstly, just want to say, as a single mum, I've been loving your podcast. I listen every week without fail. We love you, loyal listeners. We love you. I thought I would share a story of something lovely coming out of something awful. I split with my son's dad in 2020. This isn't about him. We're amicable, but just to set the scene, as I've been living alone since then with my son. In 2022, I matched with a guy on Bumble. He worked for the emergency services, as did I, and when we met, we hit it off straight away. The love bombing started early, and I can honestly say he's the most unhinged man I've ever been with. Wow. He told me he wouldn't play third wheel to my son. Felicia, what? Yeah, you'd be gone. He was so up and down, and he would snap at the slightest thing and storm out of the house. His dad is a semi-famous author, up his own arse, and they had a toxic relationship that seeped into ours to the point he made me send his dad a message and basically justify the fact I would never rely on him financially. Bloody hell. Wow. His dad threatened to cut him off financially if he continued a relationship with me. I mean, it sounds toxic anyway, so
Daddy issue.
my daddy. I didn't realise at the time, but he was suspended from his job as a police officer, so had hardly any income. I ended up paying for most things. But the biggest red flags were in regards to the things he had said about his ex. He called her Voldemort, Wingardium Leviosa. Made horrible comments about her. Of course, said she ruined his life and was crazy. So I always think that's a red flag when they talk about their ex and call them crazy.
Yeah. What did you do, hon, to make her crazy?
Yeah. She stole all his money. Her family were awful, etc. He told me about a time he threw their dog down the stairs because it pissed him off for some reason. And threw him in the river as a joke. RSPCA, where you at?
Oh my God.
No, seriously, that's abuse.
Obviously.
Because it pissed him off for some reason and threw him in the river as a joke when he was alone with the dog. I never engaged when he said these things, but the flags were tossing up. I mean, not gonna lie, if I was with someone and I found out they abused an animal, I'd have to leave. I love animals, and that's... Right, let's see where this is going. He was the kind of man that gaslighted me into a total shell of who I was within 4 months. I thought it was me. I thought I was going crazy. I honestly thought I was the problem. He had an insane jealousy over my child, who had just turned 3 at the time. Is that not like the signal of a man who's so insecure in himself that he feels like threatened by a 3-year-old child?
Yeah.
And also, I think like any reasonable man will understand, like, a child is the love of your life. Like, literally, like, they will always come first to me. Right, sorry. He was annoyed I wouldn't move in with him. He was also following very, very young girls on social media.
He's literally a walking, talking red flag.
After the comments about my son, I ended it with him, but I was really upset and thought I was crazy. So I did a mad thing and sent his ex a message on Facebook, just explaining who I was and how desperate I was to know I wasn't the crazy one. She had a feeling. She had a feeling. She replied almost immediately. She knew who I was, as they still had mutual friends. She said she had thought about sending me a message to warn me so many times. We chatted all night, exchanging stories, and it was hilarious how he told us both the same things, took us to all the same places. We laughed about how we had to remind a grown man to brush his teeth. Oh, that's actually disgusting, isn't it?
Furry teeth.
Oh, and so it means like probably when he's not with you that he's not brushing them. She still has the dog and was horrified with our ex for hurting him. Absolutely. They also haven't been together long, but had moved in together after a couple of months, and he ended up kicking her out in the rain and locking the door. Sorry, he sounds sadistic.
Sounds like a psychopath.
she never went back.
I'm scared. She said she matched with him on Bumble. Can you please let me know who he is so I don't match with him?
Maybe we should make a group where everyone puts all their like
red flags
so Tash can navigate the world of dating better.
Thank you very much.
And I could just laugh.
And I'll crack you.
She asked me if I wanted to go for a drink and I accepted. It was really scary because I didn't know who she was at the end of the day, but I needed answers. My son's dad actually dropped me in town that day and said to call him if I'd been catfished. Now, he sounds like a nice ex. Fast forward nearly 2 years and we are best friends. I have a key to her house. We go out all the time. She is my go-to girl who I can count on for anything. And because we are petty as fuck, on the night we met, we posted a photo to Facebook because we knew his dad would see it.
I love that.
Following this, our ex sent her a message telling her I was crazy, obviously.
Oh,
she is my person. We are the exact same. And although I probably wouldn't recommend contacting your ex's ex, it does go to show that 99% of the time, if they're calling them crazy, they're going to be calling you crazy, when in fact, they're the ones with the issues. Sorry if this is long. Keep up the good work and the podcast. I absolutely love it.
That's so nice. And what a fucking psychotic weirdo.
It's so true what she said though. Like, I feel like the kinds of people that call you a psycho, like, called their ex a psycho. Like,
no, I do think it is a big red flag when someone speaks really badly of their ex right at the beginning before you're really getting to know each other and finding out the stories and a bit. Do you know what I mean? Okay, this one is called Please Help Me Girls.
Are we ready?
Ready and waiting. Okay, hi girls, I hope you're well. I'm new to the podcast, but have been binge watching all your episodes over the past couple of days on YouTube. Yes, girl.
I love that.
I'm always looking for something a bit more relatable and real, and I've definitely found it with you two. Keep doing what you're doing. Okay, so I'm looking for some advice or something to help ease my pain. I'm not sure what I want to hear, but I don't have anyone else I can turn to, and I'm carrying this on my own. I'm a single mum and have been for over 4.5 years. My sons are my whole world. I split with their father back in 2019 after suffering 9 years of domestic violence. He no longer has contact, so it's just us three, and they rely solely on me for everything.
Must be so hard.
Yeah, honestly, like, hats off to you. I mean, I know that you have no choice, but just like,
yeah, amazing. You know you're doing an amazing job.
Fast forward to 2021, I met my current partner. I was quite happy on my own. I didn't feel like I needed a man, but our connection was incredible from the off and we fell for each other. We've had an amazing few years, grew together, travelled and loved so hard. He's made me feel things I never ever felt before. We have faced our struggles but overcame them together and all the rest of it. Fast forward to January 2024 and his ex, the mother to his child, made a move on him behind my back, and he kept this to himself for almost a week. My intuition told me something wasn't right, so we sat and talked and it all came out. Upon having that conversation, he also told me he wanted the best for his child and that he was leaving to give their relationship another chance for his child's sake.
This is like my biggest fear in life.
He is an amazing dad, may I add, and he'd do anything for his child. Obviously, I was completely shocked and heartbroken, but at the same time, I wasn't going to beg him to stay. Good for you, girl. I told him leaving would be a big mistake because there's a reason things haven't worked out previously, and making this decision has a monumental impact on everyone, including my child and his child, and that kind of damage can't just be undone. He left on the Sunday, cut all contact with me instantly, removed me from his locations, basically forgot I existed.
Oh, that makes me feel ill.
5 days later, he messaged me, tells me everything I want to hear, that he's made a mistake, we need to talk, fresh start, blah, blah, blah. I literally felt so relieved. We've always had this crazy connection, so after a few messages to and from, I agreed he could come and see me when my children were in bed asleep. He arrived. Instantly, we just clicked, ended up ripping each other's clothes off and sleeping together. This is probably, in fact, it is one of the most passionate and soul-connecting experiences I've ever had in my adult life, or with him. I can't put it into words. However, I had a few questions as to his disappearance, if we were going to go any further and sort things out. It turns out giving their child a better life meant falling into each other's arms 2 days after leaving his 3-year relationship with me. I I feel so disrespected that one, the mother of his child made moves on a man knowing we're together. Yeah.
Oh.
Two, that he could condone sleeping with another woman 2 days after leaving the love of his life.
Yeah.
I couldn't function, let alone do that. I feel so disgusted and disrespected. In fact, I feel violated. Had I known this information before he came to talk, I would never have welcomed him in the same arms. I took some time out after him telling me this, and he literally was at my beck and call, trying to make things right, apologising, explaining everything I asked to help me understand the situation, and I still don't understand. Fast forward to Valentine's Day, he walks in with the most beautiful bunch of flowers from him and a bag of goodies from my children. On that day, he asked me to give him another chance, and I said yes. But I feel like I'm making a mistake. I feel so insecure in myself now because a man I loved so wholeheartedly, gave my entire being to, has had to test the water with another woman to clarify I'm the woman he really wants. I feel like we're acting as though nothing has happened, but I feel so damaged and it's seriously triggered past trauma. I can't speak about it to my partner because I don't want to ruin a good mood or add to a bad day. I'm completely at a loss. I feel like I've lost myself. I literally feel as though I'm watching my sparkle disappear. I love him so, so much. And although I know he didn't cheat, he still disrespected me massively and made some very selfish decisions. What should I do? I love you girls. Please help me. Crying emoji.
I completely understand how you feel in terms of like, that would make me feel violated.
But it is violating.
It is violating. It's disgusting. I think for me, look, people are all different. I personally couldn't be with someone if I'd known they'd slept with someone.
The thing is, you know how she was like, he didn't cheat, but I just feel like it's like he gave himself a little hall pass. Like, hold on, babe. I'm going to make out this is about my child because my ex has kind of made a bit of a move on me. I don't want to lie about it, so I'm just going to tell you about it and then hope you take me back.
Also, not
who's to say that he won't do that again?
Like, not to be disrespectful. Like, I would only ever want to be with someone now who could not even be, and that's the hard thing. I think when you become a single parent and then you're dating a single parent, like, it's natural to feel like, God, what if they wanted to go back and try and make their family unit work? I would need to be with someone who absolutely 100%, no matter if someone made a move on them, no matter what, they 100% would not go there. That's disrespectful. I want to be number one choice for someone. I don't want to be an option. I don't want to be the next best thing to my family unit working. And I just think,
I personally think it was a full-on lame excuse. I think that he saw a bit of attention, wanted to take it, thought he'd better be open with it. I don't think he was ever planning on leaving it. I don't know. I just feel like
I think he thought this family unit would work. He's gone back. He's slept with her, but he's realised what you had. And look, I think he's made a mistake. But I say that I still wouldn't take him back because some mistakes are too fucking stupid.
Yeah, I feel like it sounds like he's really ruined such a good thing.
Yeah.
Can you get it back anyway?
Like, you're always going to have doubts in your mind. Like, you don't want to be living the rest of your life on edge. Like, if I take him back, well, he's done it to me once. Could he literally just up and leave again? Like, break my kids' hearts as well. It's not again. It's when
it's not just about
when kids are involved. It's not just about you. It's about the kids as well. It's not fair to put yourself in a position. I think it's so important for you to feel safe and secure. And right now, you have every reason not to. And at the end of the day, you've got to protect yourself and your kids.
I just don't understand how anyone can have that sort of mentality to be able to go and sleep with someone 2 days after they've walked out on the love of their life.
Because we're not dickheads.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me, that makes I would be devastated if that happened to me.
And I know that it takes a lot of strength, but you've emailed asking for our opinion. I think we're both on the same page here. Like, I think that it's the start of the end if you stay with him. I think that things will only get worse. I think that, like you said, you're losing your spark. You don't have that trust. You feel violated. You feel like it's triggered you with past trauma.
And all of that is completely valid.
Oh, completely. I think you also need to remind yourself how you were okay without him before. So you're going to be okay after him. And you deserve to find someone
who's going to treat you with respect and be...
Also, I actually think it's quite telling that the sex that you had with him was the most amazing, passionate sex you've ever had after he had it with someone else a few days beforehand. Why? I'm not a fan.
No. Put him in the bin.
Yeah. Sorry, my love.
It's shit.
Yeah, it is shit. But, yeah, that would be our advice. I think that's also one of the reasons why I've always been so adamant that I wanted to be with someone without children.
I understand.
Because for me, that's that it is a downfall of mine, and I am quite a overthinking, jealous person. I wouldn't like that permanent ex to be around, but then I know that there's so many pros, like we've discussed before, about being with someone with children, and I guess that's just the slight con. But as long as you're with the right person that constantly gives you that reassurance and, you know, makes you feel like the most important woman in their life.
Yeah, I completely resonate with the worries. Like, I'm in that situation where my ex
has an ex-wife.
Yeah. And like, I would be lying if I sat here and said like, that hasn't concerned me. But like, one thing, if I'm ever like worrying about anything like that, like, he literally can't do enough to reassure me. Like I said to him, like, I need to know that, no, like, if she wanted you back or this or that, and he's always reassured me. But I can't lie, like, that is always a worry, because I feel like
I think it's so normal
as well. Like, in my head, I'm like, but there's the one thing I know in the world that I can't give him is I'm not the mother to his children. But then he always tells me to like flip it on its head and be like,
you wouldn't want to be with the father of yours.
Would you ever go back and your ex-husband? The answer is absolutely not. Like, not a chance in the world. He's like, so you need to understand that that's the way I feel. And when I start looking at it like that, that makes a lot more sense. Like, there are no circumstances that would ever present itself where I would go back there. So he's like, well, you need to remember it's the same for me. And then I'm like, that is a much more logical way, because I'm like, yeah, I'm an overthinker.
I think it's just sad that you've said like you feel like you can't talk about this with your partner. And I think that's also speaks volumes, because with something that's concerning you and worrying you so much, if you can't share that with the person that you're with, then why are you with him?
Right, guys, we thought we'd do one last email, and we're going to end this on 2024, the year of the girl boss.
Oh, yeah.
We love this energy, guys. Okay, hi, ladies. Apologies, this is a long one. I swear, everyone writes in and says that, but we read them all, so keep writing them in. Firstly, your podcast gives me life. As a single mum of a 2-year-old for just over a year now, I can truly listen to your podcast without having a breakdown, and now fist pump in the air due to the understanding and knowing that others are tackling this battle and I'm not alone. How nice is that? It's true. It feels so great to write this down as part of my healing journey. I've been doing things for myself. However, I am yet to type up exactly the version of events that 2023 brought me. January the 1st, 2023, my life got thrown upside down. Wow, what a way to start a year. 1st of Jan. On this day, I received a call from a girl who had been having a 2-year relationship. The ex stated a few months when confronted, obviously, with my partner of 8.5 years. It's like 25%. Perhaps. Not quite accurate, but around. Telling me they were going to be together, and she was the reason he was convincing me to sell our home, which we purchased a few days before I gave birth. Bear in mind, my son at this time was only 1, and we completed on our home 3 days before I gave birth. Myself and the girl spent 30 minutes on the phone with her explaining everything and me crying and in huge shock. She was bragging about how they spent certain times together, weekends, etc., when I used to beg my partner to spend time with me and our son.
She sounds like a delight.
I don't get that.
Why'd you call her bragging about it? Can't wait for you to be
embarrassing, yeah. Whilst on the phone to her, there was knocking on the door in the background. She then proceeded to tell me that the person who was at the door was my partner. She had told him she was telling me about their relationship, and his first reaction was to go to her home, whether to stop her or to comfort her. So instead of going to his partner, he went to her. I will never know, and to be honest, at this point, I don't care. Shows what healing really does. Whilst on the phone, she flaunted how he was there and wouldn't leave.
She honestly sounds like an absolute fucking slutbag.
Bitch. Hours passed and he went on to return to our home to tell me he was going to take some time. I never told him to leave. I just said, please give me some space. Weeks passed and he decided it was best to not come back to our home. Our relationship was fully over and I couldn't live with a liar anyway. At the time, as a mum of a 1-year-old who works 4 days a week with a small side hustle business, I had a lot on my plate. Anyway, a couple of months on, he then decides to introduce this girl to our son, which I asked to please be patient as I'm not comfortable with this. He declined. It really annoys me, stuff like this. I'm sorry. Things like this really annoy me because I always think in situations where you're not with your child's dad, your kid should be at the forefront of every decision you make. Like, I'm 10 months down the line and we still haven't done that because we are trying to put the kids first. And it just pisses me off. Like,
I think for me, it's more the fact that he did the wrongdoing. He's left. And he's still just thinking about himself.
But it just shows the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, by the way, just throwing it out there, he is a controlling individual and, well, you know, these types of characters. The new girl is also the same, sadly. She told me that she didn't know about me when she initially rang me to give me the details of the relationship. But why call someone you didn't know about to explain? Pretty stupid comment on her behalf.
That makes absolutely no sense.
Oh, and guess what? The stereotype. She works with him.
Another one.
And another one. I also forgot to mention he cheated on me whilst I was about 5 to 6 months pregnant. One of my closest girls caught him.
I thought she was going to say with one of her closest girls.
And she gave him the opportunity to tell me for months and he didn't. When I did find out at this point, I was heavily pregnant, so I forgave him and thought, we can try and move on. It was just a kiss. When I found out, he cried, wanted forgiveness, and that I did. Feel a bit of a mug now, but that's a life's lesson.
Don't.
Recently, I've just found out via an Instagram message, not him or her, that they are expecting a baby. Time has passed, posted all over social media, and the father of my son is yet to inform me. I mean, what the actual
Oh my God, what is wrong with these people? Mortified.
However, a year on, and in the last few months, I can now say that life is close to perfect for me.
Well,
we did sell our home, and now he lives in someone else's home, her home, which happened pretty swiftly. Whilst recently, I've just purchased a flat on my own.
Yes, guys.
Girl, I have never felt like such a boss bitch in my life, and it has shown me that life doesn't end if you lose someone who you thought was your person. I've been dating the most incredible man who treats me how I have always wanted, and I do believe that you learn so much by going through these experiences. 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
I do preach about not needing anyone as I have my son, family, friends, and now my new home. However, to have someone who adds to your life is a bonus. I just wanted to write this down to show that time really is a healer and girls are bosses. Once a cheat, always a cheat. Don't ignore your guts.
I love that. I love that. Found someone, you've got your place on your own. Like,
that's it. Maybe like focused on you and like stopped focusing on them. Like they sound like a mess, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it's so hard in those situations when, God, like your life gets turned upside down and that's all you've known for so long, and then to discover it's not as it seems, or what you thought, and then having to adapt to that. But it honestly, like, hopefully for those of, and we do get people all the time who are in those early days of it, who are like, I can't see any light. Like, it's stories like this that should be your hope. That should be your
fucking
like your person is out there if that's what you want. Some people don't want a person, and that's also okay. So,
and she got in a good place before she found a person, which is exactly how it should be. So
when you're giving, that's it. When you're giving out a certain energy, you attract the right energy into your life. That's what I believe, anyway.
Absolutely, same frequency. Your little confession of the week.
Okay, this week's confession. I caught my husband cheating. I didn't know what else to do, so I found all of his clothes in a drawer and I cut tiny little holes into them. He found them and asked me if I had gone to town on his clothes with the scissors. I claimed there must have been a moth problem. Those pesky little fucking moths. Love that. Love that. Right. Affirmation
of the week. Even when times may feel really hard, the only way of that,
things can only get better.
Things can only get better.
And things will get better.
Things will get better.
Thank you so much for listening, guys. We absolutely love having your stories all written into us. Like, it's so nice to have such different like ends, like things where there's light at the end. We like funny stories and bits like that. So keep writing in. That's what keeps our podcast going. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow, and everything in between. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.